What's up everyone? Alex here. Nintendo just announced that the Switch has sold 132 million units, so if you don't have one yet, this might be a good time to consider getting one. The Switch makes it easy to play games on huge TVs and on the go, making it the perfect platform to experience some truly epic JRPGs. So in this video, I'm going to share 10 amazing Switch JRPGs that you simply must play. But first, a word from our sponsor. The Monkey King is now a legendary hero, and Raid Shadow Legends, our sponsor, is giving him away free for a limited time. Immerse yourself in this free-to-play fantasy RPG with a captivating storyline and online PvP. Explore a visually stunning fantasy realm featuring over 800 champions across 15 playable factions. The game is available for Android, iOS, and PC, and for a very limited time, you can get the legendary Monkey King in Raid Shadow Legends along with 2 epics and a rare hero. Sun Wukong is one of the most powerful characters in the game, so if you've never tried Raid Shadow Legends and you want to get a good leg up, getting Sun Wukong will be a powerful boon for your party. Remember to use the promo code Monkey King within the first 72 hours of registering to receive this legendary champion at no cost. To redeem the promo codes, tap on the tab on the left-hand side of the screen and select the promo codes option. Once in the promo codes window, type in your promo code and hit confirm. You'll receive a confirmation if your entry was successful, and you can then claim your rewards from your inbox. Promo codes are limited to 1 use per person, and you must wait 24 hours after entering a promo code before entering another. Download and try the game for free to play on Android, iOS, and PC using my link, or scan the QR code and receive Sun Wukong and an amazing starter of 2 epic heroes and a rare hero for free. Square Enix released a ton of games in 2022, and hidden beneath the more popular games is their first attempt at joining the farming RPG genre in the form of Harvestella. Unlike other farming RPGs, Harvestella has a really strong main story that brings a sense of urgency and importance to what is typically an idyllic genre. When I think about my experience with it, Harvestella plays slightly like a survival game, with a heavy dose of action JRPG, in that the items you craft and the chores that you do on the regular help you survive the many locales you're exploring, allowing you to spend a bit more time clearing the game's dangerous dungeons and encounters. And with the quality of narrative that it has, accompanied by an incredible soundtrack by Goshina, Harvestella is one of those games that people will never forget once the credits roll. Star Ocean: The Second Story R just came out, but it's already shot up as one of my favorite games of 2023. The Second Story R is one of those rare remakes that not only honors the original game by keeping a ton of the strategies and overpowered tactics that made that game super fun, but it also builds new systems on top of it so that players new to the series can enjoy it without having to deal with some of the strange idiosyncrasies found in the original. And the shift from pre-rendered CG to the gorgeous 3D environments in the Second Story R, tied with Motoi Sakuraba's newly arranged soundtrack, really makes the return to the best game in the series feel like an incredible homecoming for longtime fans. Give the demo a shot and carry over the save to the full game when you pick it up. Being the first Fire Emblem game released on the Switch, Fire Emblem Three Houses also bears the distinction of being the most successful game in franchise history, and with good reason. Three Houses had you choosing one of 3 houses to join, allowing you to recruit various characters to your side as you work towards that house's end goals. What makes each of the houses compelling is that none of them are perfect. Every single house in Three Houses, indeed, has worthy goals, but they're also quite flawed too. It's because of this feeling that you could have done better, especially after finishing the game once, is what'll drive you to play the game again with a different house, hoping to see a sugary happy ending that does not exist. This sits on top of a streamlined tactics system whose depth relies on your unit composition, with tons of classes to choose from, and one that forges a different path than its predecessors. And to think that the only place you'll ever play this on is the Switch, and you instantly get a very good reason why you should pick one up. While I will still insist that its story gameplay is more of a take on traditional point-and-click adventure than that of a visual novel, what cannot be denied is how beautifully gorgeous 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim's artwork is, and how its streamlined combat is a ton of fun. The explosions that you experience during combat have that deep rumbling bass that make your heart thump every time you play, along with beautiful animations that have the same vibe as watching popcorn pop. It's also got a crazy story that involves a ton of sci-fi tropes, calling back to some classic sci-fi films and shows that the game isn't afraid to reference. But just when you think you know what's going on, so many other things in 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim change that it'll alter your perception of the story. And it does so with a masterful stroke, and one that is, admittedly, quite easy to understand, despite its confusing nature. Sakuna of Rice and Ruin is a game that not a lot of people talk about these days, but whenever you bring it up, its fans talk about how incredibly relaxing it is to farm rice in the game, while engaging in a combat and progression system that is tied to how well you harvest said crops. Also, did I mention that it sold 1 million copies and was only made by 2 people? The reason for its success is quite simple. Sakuna of Rice and Ruin has a fantastic story, great mechanics, and a memorable cast of characters that you'll want to see succeed. And admittedly, while I did have some misgivings about its rice farming back in the day, I actually really do like farming rice now, and it's all thanks to Sakuna. I could have easily added the entire Crossbelt duology on this list, but I decided to choose Trails from Zero because you gotta get hooked on it first before you want to see the entire conclusion. I firmly believe in my heart of hearts that Trails from Zero is the best starting point for the entire Trails series, from Sky to Cold Steel. While it is affected by the events that have transpired in Sky, going back to Sky from Crossbell lets you get even more context to the unfolding events, making Sky a sort of prequel, like in the Star Wars movies. But better yet, the SSS crew is just such a charming bunch that, along with its intriguing premise, that it'll get you hooked onto the larger goings-on in the world around you. And best of all, the Switch version is the best version of the game, as it's worked on by PH3 with new features. It's a perfect introduction, along with its take on the orbment system and combat, that I've had people thank me for recommending Trails from Zero, as it's made them lifelong fans of the Trails series. Octopath Traveler 2 has been in almost every single list I've made for the channel, so you can bet that I'd be advocating for this game in this one. If you haven't played the game, I at least urge you to play the demo. Sure, it has a time limit, but you can get to experience so much of what makes Octopath Traveler 2 incredible. Many of the complaints people had with the original Octopath Traveler have been addressed, with tons of great ways for each party member to interact, complete with dedicated side quests that pair 2 characters together, alongside variable battle speeds that can make combat snappy and quick. Top that off with a post-game, which, again, it's not really a true post-game, that ties every single thing together in a weird Illuminati-type way that makes you rethink everything you've experienced before, and you have the elements of an instant turn-based classic. Ys VIII Lacrimosa of Dana is one of my favorite action JRPGs of all time, and with good reason. The addictive gameplay loop of exploring a vast island and uncovering its secrets, topped off with some really simple yet expansive base building mechanics that complemented your expeditions, alongside a narrative that's got tons of mysteries galore. And you've got the perfect game to play on the go that's both action-packed and super involving. The dodging and blocking mechanics in Ys VIII are just so rewarding that it's so worth it to master, alongside its blend of pseudo-survival mechanics that reinforces the feeling that you're on an uncharted island without it being too punishing. Yeah, I'll admit that the raids were a huge pain, but that didn't stop me from enjoying the time I had with Ys VIII, as every single facet of that game just makes me want to go back to it again for another playthrough. The Switch is lucky to have both Trials of Mana in the Collection of Mana and the Remake, but I want to talk about the latter because it is one of the most fun games I've played on it. This full 3D remake of the original Super Famicom title had to shed its multiplayer in order to make things work, but what they were able to accomplish in this game is a feast for the senses. Towns, forests, and dungeons are rendered in beautiful 3D, while still retaining the magic that the original release had. And while the AI can be less than perfect sometimes, being able to compose a party, have multiple ending variants, and being able to upgrade each character's job feels so satisfying that I replayed through the game multiple times. I could have chosen any one of the 3 Xenoblade games on this list, but I gotta go with the one that speaks to me the most these days, which is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 presented us with an important philosophical quandary. What would you do if you had 10 years to live? This single question ripples across the entirety of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, asking its main characters questions that made us think of our own mortality. But a gripping tale isn't the only thing that it's got. It has an expansive class system, a massive 7-member party, a huge world to explore, villainous bad guys that you'd want to take down, and so many people you'd want to save that it's really easy to fall in love with this game. That's not even mentioning the incredible DLC that ties in all of the Xenoblade games together, making this entire series, and not just Part 3, one of the must-have games that you can only play on the Nintendo Switch. And that, my friends, are 10 great Switch JRPGs. I know that there are a ton more JRPGs that could have been included here. Heck, there's an entire Atelier library on the Switch, but I could only choose 10. That said, if we could add, 10 more games to this list, what do you think should belong on it? Post your thoughts in the comments below and let's talk about it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.